Hello, and welcome to the virtual crew leader training. My name is Chris McKelvey. I'm the Director of Construction here at Hartford Area Habitat for Humanity. Today, I'm going to go over some basic information on what it takes to become a crew leader. At the end of this presentation, if you are interested in taking the next step of getting out on the job site and stepping into this role, you'll see my contact information where you can reach out and we can schedule that opportunity. This slideshow will go over the expectations of our crew leaders and talk a little bit more in detail about what that position looks like. If you have any questions, please feel free to write them down and shoot me an email after the presentation, and I will be happy to answer those. So let's jump into it. Hartford Habitat relies on crew leaders to make each build day a huge success. Each house has approximately 8 to 12 volunteers working on it every Wednesday through Saturday, and there is a site supervisor that oversees each project. When we have build days and tasks evolve around siding, drywall, framing, or whatever the project may be, having 12 or more people on a job site can be overwhelming for one person to manage. So, our crew leaders are essential in helping us break these teams down into smaller, more manageable sizes where we can provide detailed instruction on each task. Crew leaders are an extension of the site supervisor on the project. Crew leaders are volunteers, they're unpaid, but they also play a very important role in representing habitat on the job site and are a liaison between these volunteers and the site supervisor who will be running between each group to check on folks. So, crew leaders are extremely important to us. They really are the backbone of our volunteer program, and folks who come out regularly make a name for themselves within the community as people recognize them as a leader, both at Habitat and in the world around Hartford area for taking this important step in guiding and teaching others. It's important to know what our mission is before stepping into a crew leader role. So, if you're new to Habitat for Humanity in general, it's important to know that our mission is dedicated to eliminating substandard housing locally and worldwide through constructing, rehabilitating, and preserving homes, by advocating for fair and just housing policies, and by providing training and access to resources to help families improve their shelter conditions. Habitat for Humanity was founded on the conviction that every man, woman, and child should have a simple, durable place to live in dignity and safety, and that decent shelter in decent communities should be a matter of conscious and action for all. What that means for us here in Hartford is we do a variety of different types of construction, including new home construction, building energy efficient housing. Right now, our goal is that all new homes will become zero energy ready homes. We also work on rehab projects. These rehab projects may be minor, more cosmetic in nature, but are often complete full gut rehabs where we've taken over a blighted property and stripped it down to the studs and are completely rebuilding it with new electrical, plumbing, insulation, etc., to bring these old homes up to energy efficient current standards. In addition to new and rehab projects, we often have smaller side jobs that might be repair projects for existing homeowners to help them with accessibility concerns, such as building wheelchair ramp or installing grab bars, um, various repairs that would just make an existing homeowner's life easier and safer. Our main office in Hartford is also our Financial Freedom Center. This is a location where classes are taught to our prospective homeowners. It provides opportunity for community members to learn more about financial resources, how to improve their credit, and what's out there in the community. It's a hub and a connection center for members of Hartford County to find resources. So it expands beyond just what we're doing on our job sites, but how we physically impact the families in this community. And there are also ways to get involved in advocating for fair and just housing policies here in Connecticut, as well as on a national level. Habitat for Humanity was founded in Georgia and has expanded to become a global name as there are affiliates throughout the world. You may see opportunities to engage in builds in Vietnam or Guatemala. There are opportunities everywhere, and each area has a different building technique based on the communities that they serve and the climates that they live in. Here in New England, even the most basic of shelters must meet today's modern building codes, which require extensive insulation and very strong, durable construction. So it is difficult for us to build incredibly cheap and affordable housing when the materials and products necessary and required are quite expensive. So, through the connection with our corporate founders and donors, as well as individuals, civic, and faith groups, we fundraise money to help cover the costs of these building materials. And through generous volunteer labor, we're able to build these homes at an affordable rate that we then sell to our homeowners at a 0% interest mortgage. So it's important to understand that our families are really the backbone to this organization. It's who we're serving and who we're working towards. Our organization came up with a shared values image here that you can see, which talks about the foundations we build on rather. It's what we believe in, what we think is important about our work environment. This applies to not only our office space, but our job sites as well. We believe it's very important that everyone is welcome on our job sites and in our office space, that folks feel understood and respected of their individual needs, that there's a shared respect between our partner families, our volunteers, and Habitat staff, and that we value everyone within our community that helps to participate towards our mission. Our staff, our volunteers, our crew leaders are hardworking and diverse and fun loving group. And we feel it's incredibly important to be inclusive of anyone who wants to engage in our mission. At the same time, for folks who don't feel that this is the space they want to be in, that's fine. We encourage those who are not interested in this sort of collaborative and learning environment to seek opportunities elsewhere. It's important that everyone who wants to be at Habitat is excited and eager and willing to learn a new skill or to teach others a new skill and to work towards this mission of building stable, affordable housing in Hartford County. So, back to crew leading. What are we looking for? There's numerous responsibilities that crew leaders have on our job site, but we're going to touch on the essentials today and what's really expected of you. The first one is safety. We're working on a construction site with volunteers. It's very important that everybody is aware of any hazards on the job site and has the opportunity to learn how to use tools and equipment safely. Our crew leaders are our teachers. They're the guides and the liaison between the tasks that we're accomplishing and the volunteers who are going to do the work. So our crew leaders need to demonstrate how to correctly and safely perform each task. It's also their job to make sure that their volunteer teams understand the importance of keeping the job site as neat and clean as reasonably possible so folks are not dealing with tripping hazards throughout the job site, and tools and equipment materials can be found by others who are looking for the same items. Crew leaders take the time to check in with their volunteer groups and make sure that everybody feels comfortable with the task that they are working on. For example, some folks who are afraid of heights have no interest in working on extension ladders or scaffolding, and that is totally fine. You should check in with your team members to make sure that they feel comfortable with the tasks you've assigned. And if, for example, somebody's not comfortable working on the extension ladder and somebody else in the group is, that you switch them off and allow that person to work on the ground cutting material and passing it up. Or even if necessary, talking to another group and seeing if folks would like to switch around so that they can work on a task that they feel more comfortable with. It's important to keep an eye on Removing nails if you're doing any type of demolition work, or even if you're building and you're replacing something or pulling a nail out, that we make sure that any protruding nails are removed or bent over, that lumber and material being thrown away is carefully thrown in the dumpster or in the trash pile and not put in a position where somebody might step on a nail or grab a piece of wood and injure themselves in the process. Career leaders are there to just point out and introduce people to the job site and some of the hazards that are around them. Oftentimes, the work site is on uneven terrain. There may be rocks or mud or open holes in areas, extension cords lying about. So, the crew leader is there to just help get folks familiar with the atmosphere, and allow them to recognize that they are on an actual construction site and that being safe is really imperative. All of our crew leaders should know where the first aid kit is on the job site. It's usually located in the front of our tool container or the work truck that might be on the job site. The site supervisor should point this out every morning, but if you don't find it or see it right off the bat, please bring that to the attention of the site supervisor. It should be easy and accessible for everybody to find as quickly as possible. We always appreciate folks who have first aid and CPR training, though that is not required to be in a crew leader role. It's just an added benefit. Your job as a crew leader is also to notify the site supervisors if anybody gets injured in any way, to help that person access the first aid kit if they need a band-aid or something for a blister. And if there's a more serious injury, to be ready and available to call 911 immediately. All of our safety procedures will be gone over by the site supervisor every morning. And if you have any questions or concerns about how a task is being done, whether it's on your team or somebody else's, you should always bring that to the attention of the site supervisor. You are an extra set of eyes on the job site. So if you see something unsafe happen, you should feel comfortable intervening or grabbing the site supervisor and letting them know so they can intervene as quickly as possible. Your next goal as a crew leader is to make sure that your team is having a fantastic volunteer experience. All the volunteers that come to our job site are looking to work hard. They want to make a difference. They want to feel that they've done something rewarding. And it's important that you, as the crew leader, are there to give them the pep talk they need to achieve the goals and to encourage them to work forward every day and then leave feeling like they've made a great impact. That connection between you and the volunteers you're working with is really important. You're that main focus for the day. You're the person they're going to be asking questions to regarding how to complete the tasks, as well as what the families are like, or how to use a certain tool, or how long this project has been in progress. Folks have a lot of questions throughout the day, and it's important that you're ready and willing to answer them or to find the answers for them if you don't know it directly. It's important that you are able to give clear and explicit instructions to volunteers. You can draw diagrams. Sometimes we'll provide diagrams for a task. You can physically demonstrate how to complete the task. Most of our volunteers have little to no construction knowledge at all. So having the patience to let them struggle a little bit is part of the learning experience. And you should be there to help encourage them when they do it correctly and offer encouragement when they're struggling. It's important that everybody feels that they are keeping busy. Nothing deters a volunteer more than showing up to a job and feeling like there's nothing for them to do. They're typically giving up a work day or a vacation day, so you want to make sure it's worth their while. So keep them engaged. If you feel like you don't have enough tasks to do for your team, speak to the site supervisor and make that clear to them so they can help guide you in some other work that can be accomplished, or help you find ways to sort of stretch out the work that you're working on at that moment until another opportunity comes up. Your role is also to make sure that volunteers are doing the tasks correctly. So if it's not something that you would be proud of, or that you are well aware is not done to code or not done to the supervisor's expectations, it's good to tell the team to pause, explain why there's a problem, and talk about how you're going to fix it right away. Once a project gets too far in, say you've noticed a piece of siding is unclipped and you ignore it and A couple hours later, the supervisor comes over and catches it. And at this point, they are halfway up the house. It's very upsetting to the volunteers to have to tear down a half a day's work to fix a piece that they messed up early on in the day. So you want to be vigilant, watching out for any errors, trying to correct them as quickly as possible. Volunteers want to do things right, so they don't mind correcting work if it's caught early. They can learn from their mistakes and will do better moving forward. So be sure to keep an eye on folks and intervene if you see that something's not being done as it should be. And most importantly, let the volunteers do the work. You're there to help them learn. You're there to demonstrate the task and then to step back and let them complete the task. So, in most circumstances, an effective crew leader might just have a tape measure and pencil on them. If they need to demonstrate how to hold a hammer, they can borrow somebody's hammer to show them how to swing a nail and then hand it right back and let them take it away. So keep that in mind. We want to make sure that everybody that you're working with is really having a fun time and a rewarding experience. And you're just standing back again to be that extra set of eyes for the site supervisor, to be that voice of encouragement for them, and to provide the instructions when necessary on what the task is to do next. So, when it comes to what those tasks are, you might have some building objectives for the day. The site supervisor will meet with you in the morning to talk about what the goals are for the day. They may be big or small. They may be based on how the weather is expected to turn out. Maybe you're trying to get a task done before the rain clouds roll in. Whatever the goal is for the day, it's your job to encourage your crew to reach that goal by breaking it down into smaller, more reasonable bites. So, say you're siding one side of a house, and you want to set the end of day goal to be that you've sided all the way up to the second story windows. So you tell the crew, hey, let's get started. Let's go over how to do this work. And hopefully we can get a few courses up, get to the bottom of this first floor window by our morning break. And if they reach that goal, then you can really cheer them on, get them excited so that by your next goal, by lunchtime, they're above the windows and just starting on the second floor. So then after lunch, their goal is to get to the bottom of the second story windows. Breaking it up into these smaller chunks means that they're not looking too far ahead of themselves, trying to rush to complete a task. Again, we don't want them to get too caught up. That's where mistakes can happen if they feel pressured to reach a certain goal. So you may have a goal in your mind as to where you'd like to be at the end of the day, but you can break it down into more reasonable chunks for the team to work towards. And if it's very obvious that your team is not working as quickly as you thought they would, they're a little bit more inexperienced and they're struggling a little bit more, it's always a great idea to then pull your site supervisor over and say, hey, I know the goal was to get to the second story windows, but I think we'll be lucky if we get to the second story itself. Usually that's never a big deal. We're used to working with each crew every day that's going to come with a different skill set. So it's easy to adjust those goals. The most important thing is to make sure that the volunteers feel like they are achieving something and that you are proud of them. Next, you're going to help Habitat manage their tools and property on the job site. Habitat provides all of the tools and materials provided for each task. It's really important that these tools and materials are kept safe and treated responsibly. They're a big financial investment for our organization towards each property. So, as a crew leader, it's your job to figure out what tools and materials you need for the tasks that day, getting yourself organized for your crew, and then throughout the day, making sure that your crew knows how to use those tools safely and puts them away at the end of the day when they're done. So, knowing how to operate the tools safely ensures that they last a long time for us. And if you notice that a tool is malfunctioning, there's a piece broken on it, or there's something concerning about it, report that to the site supervisor right away and take it out of circulation so nobody else uses it. In case there's a malfunction that could cause a safety issue, we can get that tool or equipment repaired or replaced right away. So, lastly, your biggest responsibility is that you are the face of Hartford Area Habitat for Humanity. As a crew leader, you're that one person that's going to work with that small group of 4 or 5 folks and explain the tasks to them, give them a tour of the job site, talk about Habitat's mission, answer their questions. You're that thread, that connection to Habitat directly. They obviously will be talking to and engaging with other crew leaders and supervisors, but when you're assigned to that team, you're that one person that they know to go to, and that they'll be working directly with for the entirety of the day. So you become the face of the organization. If you are in a foul mood or if you're frustrated, if you lack the patience to teach these folks how to do the task, they're going to have a bad experience and they're going to have a bad uh, opinion about Hartford Habitat because that's the only experience they had was your attitude and your interaction in that day. So it's very important that when you step into the role of a crew leader, that you step into the role of a teacher and a guide and a motivator on the job site. You want folks to really have a good time and feel that they are getting their questions answered. We don't expect you to have all the answers, but knowing a little bit about habitat in a broader sense beyond the construction side of things will help to answer a lot of the questions about our mission and inspire the volunteers to get involved and potentially contribute more than just volunteering by joining a committee or making a donation or referring a homeowner. The more that we talk about and have these conversations about our families and Habitat's mission, the broader the outreach becomes and the more folks that are impacted. So be prepared to be that face of Hartford Habitat when you are a crew leader. So, day to day, what do things look like? Uh, our site supervisors are on the job site by 7 a.m. They get things unlocked and set up, and we expect our crew leaders to arrive by 7:30. This gives about 15 minutes for the site supervisor to go over with the crew leaders what the tasks are for the day, what the expectations are for you specifically, and then gives you an opportunity to start grabbing tools and kind of setting yourself up and getting prepared. From 7:45 to 8 is when the volunteers start to trickle in and they'll create their name tags and sign in. And at 8 a.m. is when the day officially starts. The site supervisor will welcome everyone. They'll do a safety talk and go over the important details about any hazards on the job site. And then they will often defer to the crew leaders to do a more in detailed safety talk, depending on what tools or equipment your crew is working on that day. Everyone will be introduced to the site supervisor and to the crew leaders. And at that point, they will then split up the team into its individual groups. So you'll get your assigned folks for the day. You'll then break up into your assigned work crews, at which point, if you're working on a particular project that requires using maybe a chop saw or something that was not gone over in more detail in the original safety talk, then you'll want to go over the important safety rules for that piece of equipment with your crew. Get them excited about the task they're going to do, talk about it, demonstrate it, and then get them to work as quickly as you possibly can. Throughout the day, your job is just to continue praising them, encouraging them, stopping anything that looks unsafe or that's being done incorrectly, and show them how to do it correctly and offer guidance, answer questions, check in with them often. If you ever run into any problems throughout the day, whether it's construction related and you're not sure how to fix an issue that you ran into, or whether it's maybe one of your team members on the group is just really negative, is not in a good mood and is kind of bringing down the rest of that group. Any problem that might arise, to step away for a moment, find the site supervisor, make them aware of the concern, and ask for some guidance on how best to handle that situation. Once the workday begins, we will take a brief morning break around 10 a.m. It's a great chance to make sure that people are staying hydrated, getting a snack if they need to. On a hot, sunny day, they could seek out some shade, or on a cold, chilly winter day, they can go uh, huddle up by the heater if necessary. And again, it's another opportunity mid morning to check in real quick with the supervisor to say, things are going great, or hey, we're really cruising through this task. I might need some more work by lunchtime. So, another opportunity for you to pause for a minute, reflect where your group is at, and figure out what next steps are. You'll continue working, and then we have a lunch at 12 p.m. every day. We encourage folks to bring their own food. Some larger corporate groups might have a catered lunch, or you might want to run around the corner and grab some takeout. That's fine. But it is a good opportunity, again, to touch base with the supervisor if any questions have come up, or just an opportunity to socialize with some of the other crew leaders on the job site to ask questions or get more information about their experience. Work then resumes for the afternoon, and usually sometime around 2:30 is when cleanup close-up time is called. So when the supervisor says it's time to clean up, you will have your team finish up, find a good stopping point on the task they're working on, and start to gather up the tools and equipment and put things away. All the tools and equipment should be locked up or secured either in a building or in the job site container, depending on what the supervisor would like to see. And any materials, lumber should be stacked neatly. Things should be swept or tidied up enough so that it's safe to leave the job site and it's in a great starting position for the next morning for the next group that's going to show up on the job site. Once that cleanup is done, everybody will gather for a final goodbye. It's an opportunity to check in with the groups, uh, have people leave on a positive note by asking what they learned for the day or some fun takeaway experience. When we're at certain stages like rough framing, it's an opportunity to pass out some Sharpies and folks can sign their names or leave a message for the family inside the house. So once final goodbyes are done, volunteers depart, and you can check in one last time if you have any additional feedback for the supervisor on how the day went, any issues that you ran into, or concerns, anything you want to bring to their attention. Maybe the next day there's somebody else is going to pick up where you left off. So it can be a great time for you to say, all right, so if tomorrow the next person that takes over for what I did today, here's where we left off. Here's some issues we ran into they should be aware of. And then you can duck out. So typically you'd be on site from 7:30 a.m. till at the latest 3 p.m. On hot sunny days, we sometimes wrap up at 2 o'clock or earlier if we're working really right in the direct sunlight, or if bad weather is rolling in. So those times may change, but typically expect to be on the job site from 7:30 to 3. So if you want to take that next step, you're interested in becoming a crew leader, you enjoy teaching, you enjoy Habitat's mission, and you really want to be on the job site working with volunteers, your next step is to reach out to me directly. We have a special landing page on the Volunteer Hub website that allows crew leaders to sign up for the job sites they would like on whatever days they would like. But in order to get access to that special landing page, you will need my blessing. So if you reach out, we can talk about your interest, get you out on the job site to shadow an existing crew leader and see how it feels to be out there, if that feels like a great fit, and talk about next steps so we can get you signed up and on the job site. If you're somebody who really likes to absorb a lot of information before you dive in to something, or you're just looking for some resources to learn a little bit more about Habitat that would make you feel more comfortable and confident in engaging with volunteers, this is a list of some of the resources available. Our website obviously will have important information for our specific affiliate, including our mission statement, just general information about some of the different programs that we offer and activities that are going on. It'll also have the links to all of our social media accounts and photos. So if it's just going through and being able to see examples of our job site, see examples of some of the volunteers that come out, it's a great way to become familiar with our organization. If you're somebody who doesn't know a lot about building or maybe has sort of a do-it-yourselfer understanding, you're familiar with some tools and equipment, but you haven't done any actual, extensive construction work. There's some great books out there and resources One book in particular is just How to Build a House by Larry Hahn, specifically written for Habitat for Humanity. You can buy it on Amazon. It's paperback. It has photos and descriptions of basic construction. Some of it might differ slightly from what we do. A lot of it's based on building a house down south. So it may be talking more about a slab on grade or 16-inch on center construction when we tend to do 24. But overall, it's a valuable resource in giving you an understanding, especially if you have limited experience in construction, on kind of going over the various stages of home building. If you want to become more familiar with safety, job site safety, and understanding what to be aware of, Habitat affiliates work with Locked-in Insurance, and this website here will allow you the opportunity to register and take a variety of online classes. Some of them just talk about working in different types of weather. Some of them are basic sort of first aid CPR virtual classes, and some are more detailed. So it's free. Your certificates are sent to the local affiliate, which we can then share with you to have as a reference showing that you took this class. You can also sign up for Habitat Learns, create a user account, and they have a bunch of very basic videos to go over construction as well as other departments in Habitat. But again, it gives you a quick overview of sort of here's the various stages of new home construction. This is what you can expect. And so if this is a very new experience for you, it's a great overview resource to just kind of give you a visual understanding. Other websites that are not habitat specific, but just resources if you really want to nerd out, is OSHA regulations and training resources can be found at osha.gov. They have what are called toolbox talks that you can find on the menu bar at the top. They're very similar to the locked-in trainings. It's safety talks, what to be aware of on a job sites, common hazards, how to respond to certain situations. And then there's the Connecticut State Building Code amendments, resources to specific building code information. So if you are really want to getting into the nitty gritty and understanding building code stuff, you can. But again, none of this information is required for you to be a crew leader. The best way to learn more is to get out on a job site, to talk with other crew leaders, shadow them, meet the site supervisors, start to get some actual hands-on experience. Those are the ways that it's really going to sort of absorb into you, into what's expected in these roles. So I encourage you to do some more research online if you would like. But if you're interested in stepping into this role, please reach out to me so we can get you signed up and onto a job site sooner than later. So thank you for your time. I appreciate you watching this video. Again, please feel free to email me at construction@hartfordhabitat.org, and we can get you out on the job site and make sure you're a good fit to work with our amazing volunteers and staff members and make a great impact here in Hartford County. Thank you so much.